From Studio 1Z, with the latest news, commentary, and weather, it's the KZRG Morning News Watch on Newstalk, KZRG.
It's FM 102.9, 105.9, AM 1310, and on your smart speaker, it is Newstalk, KZRG, Ted Bojorquez and Steve Scott. And joining us this morning is Tim Baker, who is running for Lieutenant Governor of the state of Missouri. How you doing this morning, Tim?
Good. Thank you very much for having me this morning.
Well, thanks for being here. Now, Tim, you do have some experience in the arena of public office, having served as the Franklin County Clerk. Do you think that experience, Tim Baker, here at Newstalk KZRG, has properly prepared you for serving in such a big role that is Lieutenant Governor of the state of Missouri?
I think that it has helped in the preparing of the role for that. My previous life with our manufacturing business that we had has prepared me extremely well for it, and my community service has definitely prepared me for the role of Lieutenant Governor with the different boards that the Lieutenant Governor sits on, such as the senior centers, or the seniors advocate for seniors. I served as president for 10 years of the local senior center, on the board for 20. Tourism is big with the Lieutenant Governor's role that they play. I was the first chair of our tourism commission in Pacific for 6 years. I'm not a veteran, but I love our veterans very much. Every Friday in my office, we wear red for remember everyone deployed, and they're the reason why we are actually, here in this country and have the rights that we do, and they should be at the forefront of everything. That is another big advocate that the Lieutenant Governor sits on. And the other big thing is the Buy Missouri program, which is something I'm really passionate about. As I said, I'm a former manufacturer. My parents and I used to run an ice plant in Pacific, and we actually used to sell ice down here in Joplin quite a bit to Miners Ice at the time. This was back in the 90s and the early 2000s, and sold quite a bit of ice down here for them. But those really have prepared me for this position of Lieutenant Governor.
Yeah. It's Tim Baker here on Newstalk KZRG, running for Lieutenant Governor of Missouri. And I'm glad you brought up those boards, Tim, because I was curious. The Lieutenant Governor, that role does sit on a lot of boards. Here's just a few on the list here: the Board of Fund Commissioners, Board of Public Buildings, Missouri Development of Finance Board, Missouri Housing Development Commission. The list goes on. It's a rather lengthy list.
Yes.
Now, realistically, of course, you can't be everywhere at once.
Correct.
And so within the role of Lieutenant Governor, if elected, what would be your real focus on this myriad of boards that is your responsibility?
Well, the ones that I mentioned previously are the ones that I would really take a huge lead on. The Buy Missouri would be the biggest one that other than our veterans, would be the ones that I would take a huge lead on. Driving around the state, which, by the way, when you get off the 4-lane highways and you hit the 2-lane roads in Missouri is a beautiful state if anybody ever takes the time to actually go out and see it. But driving through all these towns, you see all these vacant buildings that are just sitting idle. And what I would like to do is I would like to develop in the Buy Missouri, working with local entrepreneurs and or existing businesses, and actually help increase the possibility of making those buildings producible vital assets for the communities that they have, instead of just staying vacant and using our existing what we have.
And what would that process look like, Tim Baker? How would you get that done?
So how it would look like is, giving you a real quick story. When we went to build our new ice plant in the mid 90s, we went from a 79-ton plant to a 200-ton plant. My father went to the legislators and he said, "Hey, we're getting ready to build this massive plant. We're going to increase our full-time employees from 12 to 32. What can you do to help me?" He actually had a legislator look him in the eyes and said, "Move your plant out of the state for 1 year, bring it back into the state, and we'll give you $50,000 for every full-time employee that you bring to the state of Missouri." Without batting an eye, my father said, "Forget 1 through 12, help me from 13 to 32. And they said, "No. There's a problem there. We need to help these existing businesses. How do we help them and give them a hand up instead of a hand out to make them more profitable and efficient? We need to continue to make things in our country, or we're going to continue to fall behind."
It's Tim Baker here on Newstalk KZRG, running for Lieutenant Governor of the state of Missouri. Tim, a big part of being the Lieutenant Governor is kind of taking the lead of the governor a little bit. But that doesn't mean that you don't have your own goals and objectives that you would want to focus on in Missouri. As Lieutenant Governor, if elected, what would your top 3 priorities be, not board-wise, but in terms of bringing Missouri as a state to the forefront of national politics?
Well, the Buy Missouri, as I said, to make us more economic stable. We definitely have to make sure that our state, as well as our whole country, is secure from our borders. And then also just, getting back to the basics, making sure that we do things right as of basics. If we do those right, everything else is going to fall into place. And we keep wanting to add layer on layer on layer on stuff without doing anything well. I was always brought up, if you're going to do a job, do it right, and do it right the first time and not just do it halfway. And we seem to be doing a lot of stuff halfway, and then we want to add something else to it and move on. And we need to get this done right before we move on.
And Tim Baker here on Newstalk KZRG, running for Lieutenant Governor of Missouri. I know this might sound like a tired topic that's overplayed, but it's one that I think is worth discussing, and that is the continued push for diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives across the country and in local and state governments. And that's a big issue that I know our listeners here in the 4 states area and in Missouri take. They're not a big fan of the DEI, of the CRT. Mm-hmm. Where do you stand on those initiatives, and what would you do to help combat them?
Well, the proper role of government is just to basically protect your rights, your liberties, and your property. Government should have no business in any of that whatsoever. We should stick with our rights that we have, which would be, as you asked the question where I stand with that, we have way too many things that are politicized, and people just the cancel culture. We need to, again, get back to our basics, get back to our roots, build our foundation back up, and that's where we need to start from and work from the inside out again.
It's Tim Baker running for Lieutenant Governor of Missouri here on Newstalk KZRG. Tim, Missouri Governor Mike Parson, the current governor, made some headlines sending some of Missouri's troops down to Texas to help them out with the border crisis that they're having there. What is your stance on Missouri's role in national politics? Are you in support of sending our local individuals and even funds in some case out of state to help with national issues? Where do you sit on that?
When it comes to protecting our border, then yes, every state needs to stand up and help do the exact same thing. But we also need to make sure that we take care of our own state. We have illegals in our state that need to be taken care of. They need to be found. They need to be sent back. I have no problem with legal immigration, but the illegals that are coming through, they're going to. I heard a statistic the other day that it's going to cost every American citizen over $9,000 a year to take care of these illegals that are coming in. That's added on to the inflation that is skyrocketed, our food prices that are high-rocketed, our gas prices. When is it going to end? We need to step up. And if we have to, we are a sovereign state. The 10th Amendment allows us to be a sovereign state. We need to make sure that Missouri is taken care of.
Tim Baker, we're pushing up against the clock here. If you have one final pitch for everyone listening right now and why they should vote for you for Lieutenant Governor of Missouri, what would it be?
I'm not backed by lobbyists. Every dime that I've made has been from contributions. If you go to the MEC reports, you will find out that I'm the one candidate that has probably the least amount of money, but I'm going to do the sweat equity to get out there and make sure that I roll up my sleeves and work hard for everyday Americans every day. And I know that I work for you, the people, not the other way around.
And socials, where can people go to learn more about your campaign?
Yes, our website is citizensforbaker.com, or you can follow us on Facebook at Citizens for Lieutenant Governor, or Tim Baker for Lieutenant Governor on Facebook.
It's Tim Baker running for Lieutenant Governor of Missouri here on Newstalk KZRG. Tim, thanks for joining us
Thank
this
you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
I appreciate it. Hey, we'll talk to you soon, Tim. Coming up, we're going to take a little look at what is going on with that trivia giveaway on Newstalk KZRG.